Greetings, my name is Hamid Omar, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Today we're going to talk about why automative hiring is a 50% bargain for employers. So currently we can see that there is this AI revolution whereby things are made easier. For example, the education sector, one can detail in their project work and thereafter work can be made easier whereby the project can be done. Content creators can also produce videos and come up with songs or poems by using the AI, for example, like ChatGPT or Koala. Even the acting sector is not left out, there is voice AI. So that is how it is right now, and it has made work easier. So when you say AI, it means those activities or those abilities that could once be done by human, for example, like thinking, talking, and speaking and writing, are done by a machine or a software. So hiring as it is can be a tedious job. For example, you have to screen, you have to interview people, you have to screen first to determine who passes through to the interview stage. Then after the interview stage, you now have to hire. So depending on the applications that you'll have a tedious work. And if you look from the economy right now and how it is, the hiking prices, the inflation, so people are like looking for job really honestly, like it's a quick rush. You can see this from the example when G4S advertised for job positions, and when the judiciary advertised for the clerk assistant position. The applications that were made were very many, and the media houses even got eyes on it and said they even broadcasted it, like many TV stations, radio stations, even the media houses, like the newspapers, the print media, talked about that situation on the ground. So for now, you can imagine all those applications, thousands of applications, on what the human resource department will have to undergo, like the screening of all those papers, then now deciding who to choose for the interview, then that interview to decide who gets that position. See, that's like a tedious job. So for any human resource department or a company that now comes to the realization, actually all this can be done through AI, like the screening, the interview, and even deciding on the person to hire. It can be done automatic. So the employer will be very excited and say, this is the way to go. But now looked closely, we analyzed that such a move is, how do I put it, 50% bargain. So it's not a legal advice, it's an analysis from the laws as they are right now. Then we equate it to the market condition of it being volatile. So our law that we're going to use is the Data Protection Act and the Data Protection Regulations of 2021. Specifically, the Data Protection Act will talk about Section 35 and Section 56. So what you'll notice from here is that a company is entitled as a data controller because they process personal data. So being that position, they are under the Data Protection Act and the Data Commissioner's Office of the Data Commissioner. So there is, from Section 35 and Section 56, there are guidelines on what happens when the hiring, like any process, for example, hiring is fully automated. So one of it is that the data controller, here being the company, like the applicant who hired for that job, how do I put it? Like the applicant who hired for that job, if they are not happy with the decision of the people who are going to be hired, then they can lodge a complaint. This is unlike the regular application of jobs whereby everything is done by a human being. For example, the screening, the interview, and the final decision on who the employee is. Like actually in those advertisements, it's usually slotted like if somebody does not hear from us, then they should consider themselves not hired or not qualified, something like that. So, and then that's the end of the story. But it's rarely when you hear somebody goes to court and says, you know what, it did not go well, the procedure, something like that. But now for this automative hiring, there's a procedure on how the applicant can lodge a complaint. Like there's a procedure first to start with the company, and from the company it will depend with the policy that is there. For example, let's say the policy says like if one lodges a complaint, they'll be answered within 30 days, something like that, just an example. So in that complaint, the applicant can lodge a complaint to the company. Then it's the company now to state the reasons and what criteria they use to determine who their preferred employees were. So that's step one. Then step two is that after they have made the decision and they have written to the applicant those reasons and the criteria, and the applicant is not happy, they can lodge a complaint to the data commissioner. And for the data commissioner, it takes 90 days for that decision to be made. And the decision can be either compensation to the applicant, an enforcement notice whereby the company can be told to do a deed or maybe to correct their ways, maybe to do a refresh. And if then there's a fine for not adhering to that enforcement notice, or the case can be dismissed. So now here is how the details, the analysis comes in from. We relate how the market reacts, like to any news that it has, either positive or negative. So it depends on what news you're giving out. For example, if this complaint is heard from the company itself until to the data commissioner, obviously the image that will be portrayed will be a bad image to the company. A good example can be looked when Facebook and the Cambridge Analytica scandal in 2015, whereby from that details of them using advertisement to determine how somebody votes and something like that, how they determine the votes of the election of the 2016 USA general election, and even here in Kenya, I think in 2017. So the loss that they got from that analysis is $134 billion US. And then from now, that's the negative side. On the positive side is that when there is a positive news, the shares of a company rises up. A good example is Alibaba and the Chinese government. You will notice that they have been off and back about Alibaba not following regulations and something like that. But immediately when the Chinese government and Alibaba came into an agreement and Alibaba paid the relevant dues, the share prices of Alibaba soared up. So you can see that from these two examples, a negative news can have a diverse effect to a company, either short time or long time. And then even the positive news can have a positive outlook on the shares of the company. So on this end, remember it's a complaint. A complaint against a company, obviously it's negative, so it gives the company a bad image. So the outcome of that is that most probably the shares of the company will go down. So yeah, that's it. So from these two examples and from the analysis of the laws that are there, from the data protection and the data protection regulations, you'll notice that automative hiring makes work easy and efficient, but looked closely, the outer effects later on, it can have a negative effect, either reducing the shares of the company or losing investors for a certain while. Later on it can change, but there's that period. those 90 days and even that appeal, what happens if the media houses got news of it? So yeah, that's it. Like why automotive hiring is a 50% bargain for employers. So that's just an analysis. It's not a legal opinion. So it's an analysis from using the law and the relationship of how the market structure is volatile. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any legal question or legal issue with you, you could email us through hamidlegal800@gmail.com, whereby email consultation is free of charge. Like you can ask any question you have with you and you could get answered. So yeah, that's it. Then our offices are at Malindi New Stage near Bongoni Market, but it is still under renovation. Thank you very much, and that has been me, Hamid Omar from Hamid and Associates Advocacy. Thank you.